What is up, good people? Crypto Prepper here. Today is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. And today we are looking at a fear and greed index of 55. We are going to continue our way down this list and try to find the best Monero XMR trading bot for 2026. So we've already done Bitcoin Cash. ADA was the last one we did, but we had some movement because we've done Link too. So XMR has moved up the rank or Link has moved down. Either way, we are first going to talk about the grid bot, and we can only use Kraken on Monero. It's not on Coinbase. So we've got our grid set. You can see here we got an APY of 21.5%. And the way that I did this was I went back to April 21st or 22nd, 2025, and then measured 70% down, 70% up. So this is a little different than what we've done in the past with others, but still gets us that capture of the range that we like to see on these back tests. So this one is a little bit more volatile, or it was anyway this last year, than the other coins we've done. Excuse me. So you can see here we start out with an investment of $1,000, and then once I measured my moves here, 70% up and down, then I clicked and dragged these little boxes here, high price, low price, so that the line would get right at the top of that arrow. So we'll see if I changed anything just by doing that a couple of times, and we'll compare the back test. But the other thing I did to modify this is I changed this from 100 grid levels down to 50. So I think on Kraken you can only do 80. At least last time I've set up grid bots on Kraken, you can only do 80 grid levels max, not the 100 that it has here. Okay, so and then I did turn off pump protection on this too, which I think did increase the return on this because in the last January where we saw that rocket up with the privacy narrative. So let's see if I changed anything that would change this. So it did a little bit, um, and returned a 22% APY. So that's my benchmark. Oh, and then you can see here that I actually could have probably gone. Let's see here. I could have probably gone a little bit more um, narrower with the bot settings. So let's play around with that here for a second. So let's look at 65. I think the last one we did with ADA Cardano. Excuse me. It did fine with 65% up, 65% down. Let's see what that does. Should give us a better return with a narrow range. Yeah, a little bit better return, 23.7. And we still had plenty of room underneath this on that February 5th dump. So we might actually, let's play around a little bit. You'll kind of see my thought process here too. So of course, unless you have the pro account with Bitscap, you're not going to be able to do a 365-day backtest. You could do a 30-day backtest with the basic tier, and then if you have the advanced tier, you can do a 180-day backtest. Okay, so let's see what this gives me. 24.5, and still plenty of room underneath there. Because as we know with these grid bots, trailing up is defaulted, and you're going to leave that on. So it trails up as the price goes up and then takes these lines down. That's why it's not so easy to. What did I have that on? 60? Let's try 55. So 55 up, 55 down, and that got us a 24 or 26.47 APY. And I wouldn't go any narrower than that because, yeah, it looks like that was a good fit for this chart, at least over the last 365 days. Now, I don't know whether or not we're going to get another big spike like this, like we did last year with that privacy narrative or not, but I kind of was thinking if I could figure out what the return would be with this bot if I just went and tried to take out um that month or so. It wasn't even a month. It was like, maybe if I took out the month of January, what that return would be. But I don't know. I'm too lazy to do that. But if you want that, then go ahead and leave that down in the comments. So now we are looking at a return of 26, basically and a half, 26.5% APY. And we'll see if we can beat that here with our DCA bots, which we did with the very first one we tried. So you can see here, I see my return. And oh, here's another thing with Kraken. It didn't let me do a full 365-day backtest. So this is actually only the percentage of return for 345 days. So it's got 20 days that it's missing. And the reason I had to do that is because it was bringing back a 0% APY. So Kraken does that so sometimes, and it took me a while to figure out that exactly 345 days was what it wanted to give me. So anyway, we see a nice active chart here, and then the other main thing I like to see when I run these back tests is I like to see this continuation possibility. So this will protect us all the way down. You know, it's running, it returned 27.29% APY. Plus, you basically still have your $1,000 that you started the bot out with that's going to continue to work for you. So that's the continuation I like to see. Okay, so let's look at these settings and see how I got that return. So you can see here the initial investment is 1,000. These bots always start out with 1,000. You can scale them up as big as you want, but these are the settings you're going to want to use for that 1,000. And then you can either scroll this wheel up and it'll automatically adjust all these settings, or you can type it in. And most of the time when you type it in, it will keep these settings. It'll reapportionate them, reapportionate. I don't know the word, but it'll recalculate all these. So our base order amount, 31.25, is the amount that it'll immediately buy. And then when it falls this down to this line, it'll buy 31.25 and so on and so on up to the $1,000. So your 968.75 are these lines added together. And there are 5 of those lines, so that should default at 5, but if it doesn't, you can change it. And then our averaging order step percent here is the distance between these lines that is set at 8 for this bot. And then just as always with these DCA bots, our amount multiplier is going to be scrolled up to X2, which is going to double the investment on each of these lines, bringing your DCA down and therefore your take profit number. Our take profit percentage is 5, so that's pretty standard. And our risk management pump dump protection is turned off. Okay, so I can run this back test again. You can see I didn't change anything, and I still got a 27.29% APY. So that is pretty good, but I wanted to see if I could do better. So what I did was I changed just one setting on this. So you can see here, the initial investment is 1,000. Our base order amount, as always, 31.25, 968.75 here. Our averaging order is 5. The only thing I changed on this was the averaging order step percent. So I went down from 8 and I went in half steps. So I went down to 7.5, then 7, then 6.5. and found a better return. You can see this one returned almost 33%. So our amount multiplier, just like always, is X2, and our take profit is still 5. And our pump down protection is turned off. So you can see with this one, we still have the continuation. We have a better return at 30, basically 33% APY. We still have our active orders here at 5, which was the same number as the back test on this more conservative bot, 5 active orders, which tells us that we still have, because it just took profit. So we still have $1,000 this bot is working with. And we still obviously have a nice active map. We do have between June and July there in 2025 where it was a little boring with those settings. It was a little bit more exciting actually with these. That's interesting. So what I might do is, set up my grid bot. I did use USDC on the grid bot on Kraken for XMR because that had the lowest volume. So it would be able to take advantage of these illiquid spikes with the lower volume pairing. But for the DCA bot, I just used USDT. Uh, so interesting that this didn't have that boring time of June last year like this one would have, even though you got 5% better return. So then I also wanted to look to see if I would have set this bot up using my standard. Typically I start out at 5, 5, and 5. This bot would have only produced a 31% return only. Uh, but it also fell out of range in January because it followed this pump up, but then the crash back down was a little too deep for it to keep up with. So you can see here, our bot settings that we used on this one were 5, 5, and 5. So it looks like our best XMR trading bot for 2026 so far has been this one with the step order percent at 6.5. So do with that as what you will. Thanks for watching. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. If you want to see more of these videos, subscribe to the channel. And if you have a favorite coin, leave it for me in the comments and I'll run some bots on you or for you. All right. Thanks for watching and we'll see you on the next one.